We are live again, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome one and all to True Crime Metrix. Charlie Adelson on the stand, part 2, direct examination by Daniel Rashbaum. Honourable Judge Stephen Everett presiding. Leon County Courthouse, 2023. When was it? End of October? Yeah, pretty good run last night, guys. Lots of good comments, lots of good likes, lots of people supporting the channel, both financially, socially. It's very good, very impressed, very happy. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to put the support links in the description for this video. But while I'm doing that, let's thank Udi for being such a good moderator. Not only is he a moderator, he is 24 hours a day on call. He just must sit at home watching the live stream announcements, because every time I post a live stream, within 3 minutes, it is posted onto Discord. By the way, if anyone would like to join us on Discord for further discussion, social discussion, chatting about the show, chatting about anything, I mean, it's great. We're building a community, and it's open, it's free. You can just sign up and come on and talk to all of us behind the scenes. You know, this is where all the biggest fans are, guys. So if you're a fan of the show, join us on the Discord server, link in the description. Or, well, actually, no, it isn't just yet, but it's about to be. Let's post that into the description, along with the support links: buymeacoffee.com, Patreon, Discord. It's all there. It's all there, guys. All for you. Okay, so let's just jump straight into it tonight, guys. We took a break last night, a couple of hours of direct examination, and the courts had a break. The lawyers have had a chat. The juries had a break, stretched their legs, had some cake, refreshments, not talk to each other, not talk to the press, not let the press talk to them. But now they're sitting back in their jury booths, or in one large jury booth, taking notes, taking names. Okay, let's share this screen, huh? You all ready for this? Welcome, Neety. Welcome, Leslie B. Great to see you. Great to see you. And thank you for joining us for the live, guys. Who knows where this is going to take us tonight, guys? I just don't know. I haven't done any preparation. I haven't looked at the video. I don't know what's coming. I'm finding out with all of you in the moment. Live by the moment. Okay, that seems to be shared. We're going to hit play on this puppy.
The state's objection to the exhibit is sustained. You may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. You had an opportunity to review your text messages from June 2nd to June 7th, 2014.
How's the audio levels, guys, with my voice and the voice of the courtroom? Are they about the same? Does one need to go up, one need to go down? It'd be great to get some feedback in the chat comments.
Yes, I have.
To my mind, the courtroom video seems a little loud to me. Is that right? Or is it about the same as my voice? Because we want that just right. Production values are very important to us at True Crime Metrix. We aim to please.
Anything in those text messages out of the ordinary?
No.
They're text messages about what types of subjects?
Work, personal life. Just
anything about a first attempted murder in Tallahassee?
No, not at all.
Anything about any sort of violence?
No, not at all.
Anything about any sort of panic?
Yeah, no violence. Violence? No, we're dentists. By the way, guys, I had a little thought when I was reviewing the testimony earlier today that we watched last night. And I just wanted to share a little example about how Daniel Rashbaum and Charlie Adelson sit down and brainstorm these tactics for what works in the courtroom, okay? So what was actually going on was that Charlie was running his business in multiple dental offices, dental studios, whatever, and he would offer a cash discount, right? So if the client pays cash, they get a discount because the benefit to Charlie is that he doesn't have to put that money through the books on the system. So his tax at the end of the year will be less because he can say, you know, he can offset it and he puts the money in his safe. The IRS is none the wiser. He gets to keep more of the money and pay less tax. If he does that for 1,000 clients and, you know, there's a difference of a few $100s each, you can imagine. I mean, that could be $500,000 extra a year that he doesn't have to give to the IRS, right? So that's what actually happened. Now, how Daniel Rashbaum and Charlie Adelson have chosen to frame that to the jury, right? How do they change their negative into a positive? Well, Charlie would say, no, I think Daniel Rashbaum asked him, did you ever accept cash in these offices? Did you have people pay you in cash? And Charlie's like, well, you know, I never accept cash from the offices, but if I was doing a favor for one of the employees that worked there or something like that, I would say, well, just pay me for the materials in cash. So can you see how those two things add up? Because on the bill, the cash that was paid, or if they have a witness come forward and says, I paid this much money at this time for a discount, Charlie could say, yeah, they paid less because the materials were $500, so they gave me the $500. Actually, the materials were only $100. You see, sneaky little tricks that Charlie really sold himself, and Daniel Rashbaum sold him to think all of those tricks would work, but they just didn't, did they? Anyway, that came to me today. I just thought I'd share it.
No, not at all.
I want to talk briefly about July 1, 2014. And just kind of to give you a roadmap, in March, you had dinner with your sister, correct?
Yes, at Yarborough.
And we've learned that at that dinner, Sigfredo Garcia thought about killing you.
Yeah, he was stalking me with Luis Rivera.
And we've learned through this trial that a first attempted murder on Professor Markel's life happened, give or take, 6 weeks later.
Yes.
Now let's talk about July 1, which is about 3 or 4 weeks after that. By the way, up until July 1, had you ever talked to, texted with, met Sigfredo Garcia?
No, not at all.
What happened on July 1?
July 1, I was going to take Katie jet skiing, and I had the jet ski attached to the car, and I drove to her place in Miami, and I went to pick her up, and I remember it so well. I got flowers right before I picked her up. I bought flowers from the guy selling them in the middle of the street, and I picked Katie up, and we started driving out of her complex, and we got about 200 feet, and this blue car comes flying out of nowhere, flies in front of us, and slams.
Yeah, he brought flowers, guys. I bet he got them from the gas station, you know, really old ones that were on sale. You know, in Charlie's mind, he had a full violin quartet on the jet ski. You know, as he arrived, pulled up, towing the jet ski with a barbershop quartet, you know, to serenade her as she came out of the house and give her the flowers. Hello, hello, hello.
and slams on the brakes. And I've got a car and I'm towing a 1,200-pound jet ski behind it. And she started screaming, "That's T, that's T, that's T." And I'm like, I almost rear-ended this car. And this guy gets out of the car and he comes over and he's screaming every kind of 4-letter word at me, threatening me. His face was real red. My windows were up. And the guy was going crazy. And, I'm kind of a little bit boxed in because the front of my car was almost against the rear of his car. So I couldn't drive past it. And I had a big jet ski and a trailer behind my car. So I ended up putting the car in reverse, doing like a little bit of a 3-point turn a little bit.
Yeah, doesn't this sound like the plot in a really bad movie? This story is almost as bad as the ransom letter in the John Benet Ramsey case. "We are a small foreign faction, and we demand that you be well rested before you deliver the money."
Swinging the car around, he then got in his car, chased alongside of us. And you can't, if you're towing a jet ski with a car, you can't go real fast. You don't have much acceleration. He was right alongside of us, rolled his window down, was screaming all this stuff at us. And when we got to the light, it was just turning yellow, and I gunned it. I remember making a left-hand turn. And I said to Katie, I go, "That guy's fucking nuts." And he goes, "Nuts?" She goes, "He's really calmed down." And I go, "What do you mean he's calmed down?" And she goes, "The old T I know would have broken your window and dragged you out into the street and beaten your ass."
Now, that evening, by the way, let's talk about, you say T. Did you know Sigfredo Garcia under another nickname as well?
Yeah, well, she referred to him as T or Tuto.
Okay.
Or Sigfredo.
Now, that evening, did your father call you?
Yeah.
And what did your father say to you when he called you, Harvey? What did Harvey say to you when he called you?
He was worried about me
Why?
because he got a threatening message on his voicemail. And the guy was saying, something to the effect of, "Next time I see you, it's going to be mano a mano, don't fuck with me. You don't know who I am," something like that. And then hung the phone up.
Okay. Again, this was July 1, correct?
Yeah.
And this is now 17 days before Professor Markel was murdered, correct?
It was.
So we have Sigfredo Garcia thinking about killing you in March before the first attempt, right?
Yeah.
And now we have him threatening you and trying to run you off the road just 17 days before the actual murder occurred, right?
Yes.
You're aware that the state's theory is that you are co-conspirators with Sigfredo Garcia?
That's their theory.
Now let's go to July 5th. Your dad's birthday party. By the way, what was served at the birthday party?
We had the paella and the chef there cooking it.
Okay. And how many people approximately attended the party?
It was in their apartment. They probably had, I'd say, roughly about 30.
Okay. Did you invite Catherine Magbanua to the party?
No, I didn't.
The party was in their apartment, which was where?
It was in South Beach. It was in South Bay at the Continuum.
Now, what time did the party end?
It went from probably 7-ish to probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock.
How far is the Continuum in South Beach from your house in Fort Lauderdale?
It's every bit of 45 minutes, depending on traffic.
That evening, where did you sleep?
I slept over at Katie's house
Why did you sleep over at Katie's house?
because my brother was in town for my dad's 70th birthday party with his wife and their kids. And then my sister was in town, and then the whole family was doing stuff the next day, and it was going to be at my parents' house, at their apartment. So I didn't want to drive all the way back to Fort Lauderdale and then all the way back to Miami.
Does Katie live closer to South Beach than your home in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, she's probably 15 minutes away, 10 to 15 minutes.
And did you go back to your parents' apartment the next day on July 6th?
Yeah, I slept at Katie's place. It was one of only 2 times I probably ever slept there. And then I went back to my parents' place like for lunch the next day.
Did Katie come with you?
No, she did not.
Now, I want to draw your attention to June 16th.
Neaty, I think we should all just get owls. You know, we can share pictures of our owls on Discord. You know, we can name them all after the case. You know, a whole owl family.
And a late night work with your assistant, Erica.
Yeah.
Do you recall that?
I do.
I know you're not going to know specific times, but how late did you work with Erica that evening?
We worked till about 10 o'clock at night.
Okay. And what did you do after work?
We'd worked through dinner, so we were both hungry. So me and Erica went to go eat dinner.
And what time did you get home, approximately?
I got home about 11:45.
When you got home, did you speak with Catherine Magbanua?
I did. We texted or I called her.
And during that conversation on the 16th, but it's really the morning of the 17th, I think, because midnight.
Yeah, it was after midnight.
What happened on that call?
Katie was questioning where I was and who I was with, and was saying it was suspicious because I think I ended up calling her probably about 12:30 that night because I came home, changed, took a shower, and then when I finally called her, it was like 12:30. So she thought I was cheating on her.
And was it a heated discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I worked hard all day. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I went out to dinner with Erica, and like she was just questioning on who I was with and what I was doing, and she was unhappy with me.
Towards the end of the discussion, what did you agree to do with Katie the next day?
I told her I actually don't. My morning off is canceled. I don't start work until 1:45 tomorrow. I said, if you want, come up here and we'll grab lunch.
And did you have lunch with Miss Magbanua the next day?
Yes, I did.
What happened when you had lunch with Catherine Magbanua on the 17th?
She started all over again with like questioning me about the night before, and then she wanted to make plans with me to do dinner on
Why do you think Katie was questioning him? He was obviously cheating on her, or whatever. And he's even smiling about it.
Friday night. And
I had dinner with Erica. No, he didn't.
She got very upset at me, and she was just like weirdly adamant. Like, this Friday night, I want to do dinner with you. Like, why are you saying you don't know? Like, you don't know you're fine to go do dinner with Erica and not call me till 12:30, and just didn't stop. And we got into a fight at lunch.
So let's take that a little bit slower. So you meet with her on the 17th, and on the 17th, your testimony is that she was adamant that she wanted to have dinner with you on the 18th. Is that right?
Yeah.
And where did she want to have dinner with you?
She wanted to make dinner plans and go down to Miami.
Was that odd?
I mean, it was Friday night. She was my girlfriend. So from that perspective, it wasn't odd. What was odd is that she was so adamant. And when I pushed back on it, there was no push. She was like, started questioning me even more.
Now, where were you going to work on the 18th?
I was working in Jupiter.
Okay. So we're in Tallahassee. So let's just make sure everyone knows where Jupiter is compared to Miami, where Catherine Magbanua is, where she wanted you to have dinner. How far is Jupiter from Miami?
I would say with no traffic, it's probably 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe 2:30.
And so, and I might have said the wrong month. We're in July. It's July, not June. July 17th.
Oh, I'm going to speed it up, guys. This is
Correct?
Daniel Rashbaum is just, why does he take this long about things? And Jupiter is about 2.5 hours from Miami. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly. How long is it going to be until he says something like, okay, let's clear this up right now. Let's clear this up for the jury.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. So, why did you want to go all the way back down to Miami? And what did you tell Catherine Magbanua?
Telling Katie I'm going to be in the car for at least an hour and a half driving up to Jupiter. My back kills me when I'm in the car for that long. I got to drive back another hour and a half home. I got 2 offices I'm working in.
Fucking 45 seconds ago, he said without traffic, it could be 2.5 hours. Minimum 2:15. Now it's an hour and a half. That's quite a difference.
I got 10 hours of surgery I'm doing. I'm like, I don't even know what time I'm getting out. And she was just like, oh, so it's just going to be another late night if you don't want to see your girlfriend on a Friday night.
And how did the lunch end?
I told her that I said, you're acting like a bitch. I didn't call her a bitch, but I said she was acting like a bitch.
And did you leave the restaurant?
That's calling her a bitch, man. I didn't call you a bitch. I said you were acting like a fucking bitch.
Yeah, we had some words, and I put some money down on the table, and we both walked out. And I'm like, I got to get to work. I can't deal with this now.
Did you contact her, or did she try to contact you during the day of the 17th, July 17th?
She called me while I was at work around 6:30, but I was still working, and I didn't pick up the call.
When did you speak to her again?
I was pretty pissed at her, so I didn't call her until after 12 that night. After I came home, I went to the gym, took a shower. I called her after 12.
And when you called her out,
Yeah, I stormed out of the restaurant, called her a fucking bitch, threw money down on the table like a child, making a really big issue out of it so that she would know who was the boss. And then I went on my other date, and and when I got back, I called her.
after 12 that evening, did you apologize?
We eventually smooth things over a little bit. Like I felt bad for saying that to her, and she was still mad at me and still wanting to see me. So I did smooth things over, but not entirely.
Now, the next day, you have several text communications with Miss Judge. May we briefly approach?
Approach.
Oh, they're briefly going to approach, guys. Ryan B, how you doing? No, Erica is the front desk in the dental.
That he was interviewing his dad. So I guess the jury would be thinking about, is
Oh, I hate it when these guys come on.
your dad going to be looking through your phone to see whether or not you texted him about a caterer? So I think there's certainly issues with the way that he's testifying, and it is a definite risk. I do think that, his attorney's doing a good job considering what he has to work with, but I think his testimony is at this point hurting him.
Well, Josh, I turn it over to you. I mean, he says that he is a victim of an extortion plot where Catherine Magbanua was the ultimate mastermind. What's your thoughts?
I appreciate Mauricio's notes, but I think as far as his presentation, meaning his demeanor, how is he holding himself on the stand? I think he's doing a good job. I think he's presenting himself as, like you said a couple of times now, as a person who was victimized by this. Here's a guy who's a dentist, never committed a crime in his life. Why in the world would he get involved in this kind of a world? And I think he's doing a good job of giving that story to the jurors. Now, bear in mind, this is direct. A lot of people can do really well on direct.
Where is this guy's opinion? I think he's doing a good job of giving that story to the viewers. Why would he get involved? He's got so much to lose. He's a respectable dentist. I don't. I mean, I guess I am biased, but even if I just tuned in and never heard anything about it, I would think something was wrong.
Let's wait till cross when the rubber hits the road on his examination here. We'll see how he holds up.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's unpause the testimony and hear more of what Charlie Adelson has to say.
Swinging the car around.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I have a
He
question
likes
for you.
blinking,
If you had to
doesn't
make a
he?
choice
Fucking
between
hell,
having
he's
massive
like
impact
a
on people's
moth
lives or having
flapping his
real financial
wings.
freedom, which would you pick?
Isn't it like a moth flapping its wings on his face?
Can I continue, Your Honor?
You may.
That day, now we're on the 18th, July 18th. Did you speak with your sister that morning?
I did.
What do you recall talking to your sister about?
I called her in the car on the way up to work, and I ended up talking to her. She's told me that she was having the TV set repaired. I thought she had told me that Lincoln had thrown something at it and broke the screen. So she was getting it TV fixed. And then I was also, the reason I called her was because I was in a fight with Katie and I wanted to get her opinion on something. So I spoke to her and told her what I said to Katie, and she gave me sisterly advice like she usually does.
And again, that morning, you're in the car for quite some time.
About an hour and a half.
Where were the two? You were working at one or two offices that day?
I was working in two offices, but they're across the street from each other in Jupiter.
Okay. And during the call up to Jupiter, did you make several phone calls?
Yeah, that's my morning routine, and I was in the car for an hour and a half, so I was on the phone a bunch.
Now, there's several times where there is a phone call made, and then immediately after there's another call, and there's short calls, and then immediately after there's another call. Do you know why that was the case?
Yeah, because there's a stretch of highway between West Palm and up in Jupiter where you'll get drop calls constantly. So you'll call somebody, and then you can't hear the person, or it doesn't go through, and they start talking, and you hang up and call them again. So the calls drop constantly up there.
Okay. Do you recall having some text message?
That would never happen in Miami. Can you imagine in Tallahassee? They probably can't even make the call in Tallahassee. There's like one cell tower serving the entire city.
Communication with a friend named Mike and also Catherine Magbanua about dinner that night.
Yes, I do.
And without getting into too many specifics, what was the general issue?
Mike had wanted me to get dinner with him because his house is kind of close to Jupiter, and sometimes when I'm up that way, I'll see him. Katie was still upset about the other day and feeling like I give more time to other people and questioning why it's a Friday night and I don't want to spend it with her. I eventually just texted with Katie and I apologized for calling her a bitch and telling her I said she was acting like one. I didn't call her one, but
You know, the whole Friday night thing. Am I the only one that gets over that? Like, these people are in their 30s and it's like this big thing that it's Friday night. To me, it could be Friday or Tuesday. You know, it really, but then again, you know, I don't really have a normal job. I suppose if you're like a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday worker, and if Friday is payday, but even then, that's like when you're 18, it's a thing. When you're 20, it's a thing. When you're 22, it's a thing. When you're 30, whatever you are, is it really still a thing? I mean, it really doesn't make a difference to me. Like, look at all of you guys, all of you losers on a Saturday night watching this with me.
evidently to some people there's no difference. And I shouldn't have said it, so I ended up apologizing and making dinner plans with her.
So you chose to make dinner plans with Katie that night, correct?
Yeah.
And where the dinner plans were going to actually happen Did you get that far in making specific plans?
No, but I said I just want to do something casual in Fort Lauderdale. I don't want to get all dressed up and head to Miami.
Okay. Now, the second office you're working in for a little period of time, right? That evening.
Right.
In other words, let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Leslie B says TV set repair like it's 1980. Yeah, I like that image. Little van comes round with a sign on the van with a little picture of a TV and a cartoon man holding a big wrench, and then guy comes in with this little toolkit, opens up the TV and starts messing with the wires. That would never happen now, would it? You just throw the TV away.
You had a bunch of surgeries in that second office, right?
Yeah, they're usually packed.
And do you recall from a text message that around a little after 6, you were about to start a big procedure?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, you hear from your mom. How do you hear from your mom?
I had a missed call from her, 1 or 2 missed calls, and then she texted me, "Call us ASAP."
And why did you miss the calls? What were you doing?
I was in surgery.
Okay. After she texted you, call her ASAP.
Well, there's a lot of calls in the chat that we should move on to Georgia. Maybe. Let's think about that, though. Okay, I'm going to have to put it to a vote, guys. How do we do that? Let's hang on. We need to ask everybody. It's only fair. Remember, guys, like, share, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel.
What did you do?
I stopped what I was doing. I could see the text messages on the phone as they come in, so I knew it was important. I stopped what I was doing, and I called her right back.
When you called her back, what did she tell you?
She told me that Wendy had just called her and that Dan had been shot and that it was serious and that her and my dad are going to be going up to Tallahassee to be with her.
How did you react?
I was shocked. I said, is he okay? Is he going to be okay? Are the boys okay? Or Wendy's okay? Like what happened?
And what did your mom tell you?
She said she didn't know any details, that it was really serious, and that Wendy's with the police right now and they're questioning her.
Now, after you got off the phone with your mom, what did you do?
I went back to work.
And did you have some communications with people after that through text messages about how you were feeling?
I did.
And generally speaking, how were you feeling?
I wasn't feeling great. I was pretty upset about what I just heard.
Now, around what time, if you remember, did you leave the office?
Probably about between 8:20 and 8:30.
Okay. And again, it's a pretty far drive, correct? Even at that time then?
Yeah, there's no traffic at that time, so I could speed a little bit. But
on your car ride home, did you make phone calls?
Yes, I did.
And in particular, and we'll do it one at a time, did you speak with Catherine Magbanua?
Yes, I did.
And what did you tell Catherine Magbanua on your ride home?
I told her that my ex-brother-in-law had been shot, and it's serious. And I just told her I really didn't feel like going out tonight, and just hang out at the house if you still want to come over. She said, "No, I'm still coming to see you."
How did she seem?
Seemed normal. I mean, she seemed concerned.
It has to be an 80% majority to change the video, guys. Can't just be 51%. It needs to be an 80% majority. So if you want to skip to Georgia, vote. If you want to stay with Charlie and Daniel Rashbaum, vote. Everybody vote and like.
But nothing out of the ordinary.
You got 3 minutes.
Now, are you aware that after that phone call, Catherine Magbanua had to frantically go around and try to get a babysitter for her kids?
No, not at all.
No. Did you speak with your mom on the way home to your house?
Yeah, like I called my parents also from the car.
And what did you find out from your parents?
That they were getting ready to leave, and that they were heading up to they were going to head up to Tallahassee, and that they were going to probably stop up in Orlando because it's late and they wouldn't get up there till. So they're going to spend the night in Orlando and then go up to Tallahassee.
Now, you've seen text messages in this case where there's some indication your mom says outside your house, and 20 minutes later, after that text message, you say 10 minutes. Do you recall those text messages?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you see your parents that evening?
No, not at all.
Okay. When your mom says outside.
2 minutes remaining on the vote, guys. Has to be an 80% majority to change the video. Currently, we're not quite there. But I wonder how many people have voted. If you haven't voted, vote now. 2 minutes.
Your house.
Yeah, Keith, I quite like Rashbaum, and I like that I don't know where it's going, you know. And I wanted to make a special thumbnail for Georgia. We were probably going to do that tomorrow, but I think that's going to draw a lot of people. I think if we skip halfway through, it's kind of a little bit misleading. But Leslie B is starting to break into song. I'm so pressured.
Does that mean to you that she was actually at your house?
No, it meant that she was passing by my house outside it on the vicinity and seeing if I was home.
On the phone call that you had with your mom on the way home, did you discuss anything about your parents stopping at your house?
Yeah, I said, text me when you're close. If I'm home, stop by and see me, because my house is a football field length away from the exit of the turnpike.
And when they were close, were you anywhere near your house?
No, and I missed their text. I didn't get home for 40 minutes after that text came through.
When you got home, what did you do?
When I got home, I changed, took a shower. I took a shower, changed, and I played phone tag with Katie to see where she was at. I think I talked to her after I got out of the shower, and she was going to be heading over to hang out with me.
Thinking to start cutting carbs. I need to drop my belly fat.
I think
if you want to drop this,
I think he's referring to the phone call where he's like, you know what I want to do tonight? I want to work out with my fucking girlfriend, and I want to eat some Maine lobsters. And if you're going to come over and be a bitch, don't bother. Like, you remember that call where he's just an asshole, just such an asshole to women? I mean, really? What is that about? Is it like that he's really talking to his mother, and on some level he hates his mother? I'm sure that's possible, right?
You have a text with your friend Mike that said you went to the gym. Do you have a gym? Did you go to the gym?
No.
Okay. Do you know if you worked out in your house that night?
I don't know. I've got some workout equipment in the house, so I may very well have, but I didn't go to the gym that night.
Your friend Mike wanted to have dinner with you that night, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you get to the house, you said you called Katie after your shower. Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15.
And did she come to your house that night?
Yeah, she said she was going to be leaving shortly. And I think I even said either text me or call me when you're on your way.
Did she actually come to your house that evening?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Around what time did she arrive?
She got there about 11 o'clock.
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does. And she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just a horrible day. But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. I'm like, are you okay? She's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, just come sit down. I need to talk to you.
Where did you go?
We walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to the living room?
We sat down on the couch and she started to talk to me. And she said, listen, this is all my fault. But I had no idea anything was going to happen. But this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer.
What did you say?
I'm like, what are you talking?
Yeah. God, that was, that was bad. That was not enough study time on that one, Charlie. I spoke too much about your parents, Wendy's ex, and the $1 million offer. like anyone would say that. What did he say exactly? The list? As he's writing this on his toilet paper in his cell, taking notes. Yeah, I'll mention the whole list. And then that'll be like handing the list to the jury. And then the jury will see the list and go, well, she did mention all of that stuff, so it's legit. What was the list?
And the $1 million. I spoke, this is all my fault. Couch. And she started to talk to me. And she said, listen, this is all my fault. But I had no idea anything was going to happen. But this is totally my fault. Okay. I spoke in too much detail about your family.
Yeah. So all my fault. I spoke in too much detail and it was all my fault. I love how he said that twice. It was all her fault. So not your fault.
But I had no, and she started to talk to me. She said, listen, this is all my fault. But I had no idea anything was going to happen. But this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer.
Okay, so I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, about Dan Markel, and about the $1 million offer. And I also mentioned where he lived and the fact that he was going out of town to New York City on this date.
What did you say?
I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $1/3 million.
How did you react?
I was like, what did you just say? And she's like, my friend killed Dan.
Yeah. When I was going into so much detail about what was it? About your family's personal problems and about Wendy and about Dan Markel and about the $1 million offer. I went into so much detail that I said that the $1 million offer wasn't $1 million offer from you, that you were only going to pay a third. So now that they've heard that you will pay a third, they want you to pay them a third. So if we take 3/3 and divide that by 1, you need to give them money.
To pay $1/3 million.
What happened next?
I stood up and I started cursing it. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And she's like, no. I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, I don't want to say. I can't say. And I said, who was it? She just kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And
I'm not going to tell you. Yes. I've just come from Sigfredo's house, and I'm this upset, and I'm telling you this news. And you know that Sigfredo is a gangster and a killer and a thug. And but I tell you what, why don't you try and guess who it is? Because I don't want to tell you.
And she's like, no, I'm not telling you. And I just walked in my bedroom, sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was going to happen.
Did you see that? That was a little bit of a scripty thing. You see, Charlie can't just tell a whole story. Dan has to ask questions. If Charlie just says, just starts making a long statement, that's not, I'm not sure how to describe this. It's not, he's there to answer questions. He can't just tell a long story, basically. Those are the rules of being on the stand and being directly questioned, right? But Charlie forgot that for a second and was midway through a story and remembered to pause and let Dan ask, and what happened when you sat on the bed? Charlie was like, I went into my room and I sat on my bed and And then Dan comes in to rescue him and says, "And what did happen when you sat on the bed in your room?" Listen, see if you can notice his pause.
Just walked in my bedroom, sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She
See that? Am I wrong?
And she,
like, he was going to say something else, but then thought, "Oh no, it's Dan's turn to speak." You can see that.
yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding? And she's like, no.
Next.
I stood up and I started cursing it. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding? And she's like, no. I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, I don't want to say. I can't say. And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, no, I'm not telling you. And I just walked in my bedroom, sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. But I didn't know any of this was going to happen. And I'm like, Katie, I'm not going to be part of this shit. Like, I'm not going to be part of paying for a murder. This is insane. And she's like, look, if you don't pay in 48 hours, they will kill you. And I said, Katie, I feel like I'm getting extorted now.
How did she respond to that?
She got really mad at me. She got angry. And she's like, look, I'm not extorting you. She's like, I got dragged into this the same way you got dragged into this. She's like, it's my fault for running my mouth the way I did, but I'm not extorting you. Like, I'm trying to help you. So she's like, she goes, what do you?
Yeah, I'm not extorting you, but if you could just put the money through me, that would be best. And also, as well as putting the money through me, I would like you to set up, arrange, and pay for all my mechanical repairs on 2 vehicles from now on, just indefinitely. Okay? And there's actually a problem with the Mazda right now. So if we could call Sully and get Sully on the phone and maybe book that in, anytime's good for me. And yeah, the payments. I tell you what will be easiest is I'll come round every Sunday. Okay? Not an extortion. The money will go through me to them. And I tell you what else would be really, really good. Now, I have been saving for my breast augmentation surgery, but I'm thinking maybe you know a guy who does that for free?
What are you going to do? You're going to go to the police? Because you go to the police, they'll kill you.
Did she tell you that they would just kill you, or they would also kill other people?
She said he'd come after you, he'd come after the family. Like, Charlie, you don't have a choice. Just pay the money. You said you had the cash. You said you were going to pay a third. Like, just do it. Like, I'm trying to help you out.
What did?
Wow, isn't it amazing how much more believable that is when he talks really fast and frantically? You know, you can really feel the tension that he went through and the shock of the situation. You know, really adds to the drama. The dramatic nuance. The jury must be just on the edge of their seats in panic.
What did you do then?
I said, Katie, I don't have $333,000 in cash. And she's like, you said you did. And I was like, no, I cash isn't. I can write a check for $333,000. I don't need to take out a loan. And she's like, well, you have a ton of money in your safe. And I said, Katie, I don't have that much in my safe. I do have a lot.
Yeah, you have a ton of money in the safe. You open the safe, you put it through me to them. What? Now, what's the combination?
And I said, come take a look. And I walked over to my safe. I opened it up. I'm like, here, take a look. I took it out in piles and put it on the dresser next to us. And I said, go ahead and count. That's not $333,000.
And did she count it?
Yes, she did.
How much money did she count?
Oh, I love this. This is so clever. This is so clever. They give a decimal figure for the amount that he paid, not $100,000. That would be like, an agreed figure, right? Payment. But no, He gave them more than $100,000. He gave them everything he had, which was, what was it? 127 or something?
138,000.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't 100,000.
138,000. 138 stapled stacks of $100 bills.
It was 138,000.
Correct.
What did she do with the $138,000?
She put it in her. She had a big purse. She put it in her purse, and she asked me. She goes, how can you get the rest?" And I'm like, "Hey, it's all the cash I've saved up from forever." And she said, "Can you go to your parents and get it?" And I was like, "If I go to my parents, my dad will go to the cops in a second. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop my dad from going to the police. Like, I could never say anything to him."
Yeah, Harvey.
What happened?
Harvey would be, he would just overpower me. He would just, he'd burst through me like an eggshell and go straight to the police department. There's no stopping Harvey when he makes up his mind.
She asked me. She said, "Well, can you pay like $3,000 a month?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do that."
Now, at this point in time, did you have any idea that she was part of the extortion?
No. She kept saying it was all her fault.
So one thing I've never really been clear on is that this $3,000 a month, that's not coming off the principal, right? That's just interest on the extortion amount. Well, what is that? Why would that happen? Yeah, we want $350,000. I mean, $3,000 a month, that's going to take like 111 months, which is, well, 10 years. So he pays $3,000 a month for 10 years and still owes them $350,000. I mean, what kind of deal is that?
That she didn't know any of this was going to happen. She was upset.
What did she do next?
She took her purse, her keys, and her phone, and she's like, "I'm going to go call my friend and see if this works for him, and I'm going to try to help you out." And she walked out of the house, and my bedroom was right next to the front door. She walked out of my.
Oh, hi, Christina Anderson. Looking forward to your comments. It's like I feel like you're like a part of my brain that doesn't really work. That was meant to sound like a compliment. It's like you think things that I should think and say them here, but I'm busy clicking on messages.
Bedroom outside of the front door, and closed the door behind her.
When she went out of the house, what did you do?
I just paced around my house, and I remember sitting in the living room. I got a wood coffee table, and I was just sitting on the coffee table, just in shock, thinking, "What the fuck just happened?"
What happened when she came back in the house?
She came in the house, and she was
Wow, a lot of sitting, huh? He's gone into his room. He's sat on the bed. He's in the living room. He's sitting on the coffee table. Where is he going to sit next? Oh, I sat on the kitchen counter. Oh, I sat in the driveway.
good guy and telling me that she's going to look out after me and she's so sorry this happened. It's the same thing she was saying beforehand, and that she was going to make sure that nobody pays me a visit. And she's like, I spoke to him. You can pay $3,000 a month, or you can pay the rest off. She goes, but the $3,000 a month you're paying doesn't go towards the balance. What did you do after she told you that? I just said fine, and I walked downstairs into the kitchen, and I was shaking, and I took a bar of Xanax.
Where did you go?
And I walked outside from the kitchen through the sliders into the backyard. I closed the sliding glass door behind me. I think she got the picture. I wanted to be alone. And I just sat outside behind my house for a while.
Now,
yeah,
when you came,
had another seat. Why not? Take a Xanax, have a seat, slide the glass door, take a Xanax bar, go to sleep. I think she took one out of the bottle, meaning I didn't, as a licensed medical professional with a prescription pad, give her any drugs.
came back into the house, what was she like?
She was just apologizing and just telling me that her friend's crazy and she's so sorry, and she ran her mouth too much about everything and about the $1 million offer. And she was telling me that she was going to protect me.
Did she take a Xanax as well?
I don't know if she did. She may have, but I didn't give her one.
Did she spend the night that night?
She did sleep over that night.
Now, why didn't you kick her out?
I was in a state of shock, and I didn't think she had anything to do with it. I didn't even want to believe that she had anything to do with it.
When you came back in the house, what happened to you next?
The Xanax was really starting to set in. It's probably about a half hour I was outside. I remember going into the bedroom and sitting down. And I sent a text to my parents to see
How many seats does he have in this house? Yeah, I went into the bedroom, sat on the bed, and then I sat on the coffee table. I went and sit in the garden, and I sat on the bathroom floor.
they were up in Orlando yet or where they were. And then I laid down in bed and I passed out pretty soon after that.
The next morning, when did she leave?
She left about 8:30 in the morning.
And how was she in the morning? How was she acting?
This AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design, images, layout.
She was apologizing and telling me how sorry she is, and she was blaming herself and saying it's all my fault for running my mouth, and telling my friend about this. And she was just telling me that she was going to protect me and that I wasn't going to get a visit from anybody.
What did she tell you anything in particular before she left the house?
Yeah, she told me, whatever you do, she said, please don't tell anybody about what happened. Like, don't tell anybody about this. Never talk about this. Never talk about it on the phone. She said, never call me up and start talking about this. And the last thing she said to me is like, can we just pretend like this never even happened?
She leaves the house.
Yeah, let's pretend like this never happened. So later on when I leave, I want you to text me, but not about this. I want you to say, are you going to the beach or the pool? That'll be nice with the kids. It's a beautiful day, and blah, 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 blah.
And we're going to get into specifics, but that day, July 19th, where do you go?
I don't leave the house. I was home all day.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
He was sitting in every room of the house. He just moved from one room to the other, sat down, took his Xanax, went to another room, sit.
And what were you doing when you were home on the 19th?
I was sleeping a bunch. I think I took probably some more Xanax, just trying to relax. And I was just real upset.
That morning, did you speak with your parents and with Wendy Adelson?
I did. I talked to my parents that morning.
And what did you find out?
I found out that Dan had died.
And why did you call Wendy Adelson?
Because that was the first call I called after my parents told me that, to see how she was, see how the boys were.
Now, you're home alone the entire day of the 19th. Did you think about going to the police?
I thought about it, but I thought I'm going to get killed if I go to the police. It's not going to bring Dan back. It just seemed like a bad idea.
Over the days following, did you continue to go back and forth about whether to go to the police or not?
Every time I thought about it, I thought through what could happen to me, what would be the benefit versus the pros versus the cons.
And why didn't you go to the police?
I thought if I went to the police that they'd kill me.
Now, there are some text messages into evidence on the 19th. Text messages between you and Catherine Magbanua. I think there's 3 of them. Do you recall those text messages?
Yeah, we texted during the day.
And there are text messages about the weather and pool and Catherine Magbanua going to the pool. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
What are those text messages about?
Pool party. Hey guys, remember, there's 62 people in the stream at the moment, but how many likes have we got? We need all of you to go and click like right now. We did an announcement like this, and suddenly there were loads more likes, which really helps the algorithm. Also, link in the description to support the channel on buymeacoffee.com, Patreon. Link to the Discord in there, the open Discord chat where all the cool kids live. Join us.
I was trying to show her that I was trying to pretend like this didn't even happen. Like, I think one of the texts said I'm going to the gym. I didn't go to the gym that day. My phone will show I never left my house.
Hey, genius, your phone will show that your phone never left the house. Sometimes people leave their phone at home when they go to the gym. especially post successful murder plot.
Now, you say that she said that you could pay all at once, or you could pay $3,000 a month. That's what her friend would accept, right?
Yes.
Did you think about paying it all at once?
I thought about it. I thought, if I can, I'll do it, and it'll get these people out of my life forever. But then I thought, this is extortion. One thing I know about extortion is it never ends. So if I paid it all at once, I thought it may be more of a reason that they come kill me. Or if I pay it all off, they're going to come back and ask for more money.
In the days following the extortion, did your sleeping habits change?
Yes.
What did you start doing?
I slept with a gun in my nightstand ever since then. And then I started carrying my gun on me also.
I'm showing you it's marked for identification purposes only as Defendant's Exhibit 51 and Defendant's Exhibit 52. Can I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay.
Take a look at those. Do you recognize those items?
I do.
Judge, I would move Defendant's Exhibit 51 and 52. Well, before I move in 52, the 52 are some text messages. Are those text messages that you recognize that you kept in your ordinary course of dealings with text messages?
Yes, they are.
I would move in at this time 51 and 52.
Any objection from the state?
I have not reviewed these.
Please let Ms. Kappelman look at 51 and 52.
What would your life be like if you were a rapid transformational therapist? So I can.
No objection, Your Honor.
Defense 51 and 52 are admitted at this time.
Now, on within 11 days after your extortion, did you do anything in particular to your house and to the Adelson Institute?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
A few days after it happened, I called up a camera guy, and I got a whole set of cameras installed in my house and in my office, like pointing out to the parking lot also.
Judge, may I publish?
Yeah. We pointed the camera to the parking lot because we knew that the Latin kings would be coming with 30 motorcycles. So we thought we might not hear that coming. So we thought we'd better have video surveillance pointing at the where they would be in the parking lot.
I'm showing you what's marked as. Actually, let me show you the original. I'm showing you what's marked as Defendant's Exhibit 51. Is this a check for the cameras?
Yes, it is.
And how much did you pay for the camera system?
I paid $2,140.
And what date was the check made out for?
7/30/2014.
And in the memo line, what does it say?
It says camera.
I'm showing you some text messages from a couple days earlier. And these are text messages between you and your parents and you and camera Adriel. Who's camera Adriel?
Adriel is the name of the guy who installed the cameras. So I just put his name in my phone as camera. So it's easy to look up. Camera Adriel.
And here are you indicating that you put cameras in your house as well as the Adelson Institute?
Yeah, that's why there's two DVRs. There was one for the house and there was one for the office, and it's 23 cameras in total.
Why did you think it was so important to put all of a sudden a camera system up?
It was I was worried about my safety. I fully expected these people to come back and possibly try to kill me. So I just wanted to beef up my security system in the house and the office.
Okay, I want to switch gears a teeny bit. What was your sister like in the weeks following the murder?
She was a wreck. I mean, she looked horrible. She didn't leave the house. She wasn't eating.
Before we go into that subject, I want to bring up one other thing about the cameras. Are there text messages earlier in the year where your parents are asking?
I would really love to know. I wish there was some possibility of a secret camera or something about what Wendy was doing post-murder, held up in the icon, crying, sobbing, not eating, a wreck. What was she doing? What was she doing? I mean, sometimes when I'm going to sleep, I try and think what she must have been doing. I don't really know, being that insufferable mother figure to Ben and Lincoln. You remember the conversation where they said, "Mommy, I bet Abba knows more about God than you do." And Wendy's like, "Yeah, but I know more about Ralph Lauren, okay? I know more about Cartier, okay?" No, Wendy's like, "Well, some people believe that the God is a man with a big white beard and sits on a cloud." I think she's a terrible, disgusting mother to these kids, right? Absolutely incapable of doing anything appropriate that a mother should.
Asking you to put up cameras at the Adelson Institute?
We talked about it. And I actually had a camera system at my house, but it was older, it was antiquated, and it didn't work really good. It was from like 2008, so the technology was 6-7 years old.
Those text messages earlier in the year to put up a camera system at the office, had you ever acted upon that?
No, we talked about it, but I never got around to it.
It's not until within a week or so after you're extorted that you act upon that, correct?
Yeah, I called the camera guy about 3 or 4 days after I got extorted, and it took him like a week to get the cameras and to set up an appointment to install it.
Let me ask you another question. And we're going to get to your mom learning what happened. But before we get there, after you were extorted, did you tell anyone about what happened to you?
No, I told nobody.
Why not?
Katie told me before she left my house that morning, she's like, "You cannot talk to anybody about this. Don't ever talk about this with anyone. Don't ever talk on the phone about it. Don't even talk to me about this ever again. Like, nobody can find out, but I'm going to protect you."
Yeah.
Let's get back to Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't talk about this to anyone. Don't even talk to me about it. You just keep, I'll be round every Sunday, okay? And you'll give me the money to give to them. Through me. Yes. Let's never speak about it. But by the way, you know what we should speak about is my mechanical problems on the Master. And what's happening with the Lexus?
So I think you said Wendy was a mess.
Yeah.
Did there come a time when you went out to dinner with your sister?
Yes.
And how long after the murder was that?
I'd say it was about 2 weeks after, maybe even a hair more, but around about 2 weeks.
And what happened when you went out to dinner with her?
I picked her up. I said, what do you feel like getting? You want to get pizza? You want to get sushi? And she's like, "I love sushi."
Oh, yeah, there we go. There it is, guys. Pizza or sushi? Pizza or sushi? Has anyone heard me talk about that before? How those two foods are completely different. It doesn't really add up to say, I'm in the mood for either pizza or sushi. Why would those two food groups exist in the same sentence? One is light, elegant, delicate. you know, not really a big meal apart from the rice. Okay, the rice fills you up, but it's very, you know, palate cleansing. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got pizza, which is anything but delicate. It's bold flavors. I mean, yeah, okay, you can have fancy pizza that's elegant, sure. But it's bread, melted cheese, tomato sauce, and grease, and toppings. It's just never made any sense to me. I'm in the mood for either pizza or sushi. It's like saying, I'm in the mood for rock climbing or a massage.
I'll take you to a really good place for sushi.
Where did you go?
We went to a restaurant called Juvia, and it's actually a pretty fancy sushi place.
What happened during the dinner?
Fancy? No.
She got really sick when we got to the restaurant. We didn't have a reservation or anything. They sat us at the bar. They served us a drink at the bar. It was really short. It was one of those like martinis that have like 3 shots in them, so they're strong. And then we sat at the dinner table.
Yeah. We didn't order a triple shot martini. No. This place, they give you that for free, and they only charge you for 1 shot in the fancy sushi restaurant where we have martinis at the bar. You know, we had to wait like an hour because the place is so popular.
Were you drinking and celebrating the death of Professor Markel?
Absolutely not. We sat at the bar waiting for a table for an hour, and then when we sat at the table, we each had 1 drink.
Now, I want to move on.
Yeah, we sat at the bar for an hour, had 1 drink at the bar during the course of that hour. I mean, that doesn't add up, does it? You know, I love the bit where Georgia Kappelman, we'll get there. Who was asking for that? Leslie, if you're still here, we'll get there. Look, what happened to your vote? You didn't get an 80% majority. It's 62%. So, you know, we're not there. And I think, you know, we're having fun with Daniel Rashbaum at the moment.
On to August. Well, before we get there, sorry. In July, did you break up with Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
How did you break up with her?
This happened on a Friday night. And I'd say within a week, I met her. I said, "Come, let's have dinner," and we went out for tacos. And I said, like, we can't do this anymore. I don't want to be in a relationship with you.
How did she react?
I think she knew it was coming. I mean, there was no surprise on her part.
Now, in August, did you see her?
Look at fancy fiction there, just behind Daniel Rashbaum. You know what she's thinking? She's thinking, man, I should be logging into a True Crime Metrix live stream and sharing my thoughts directly with True Crime Metrix. That's what she's thinking. She's looking down. She's probably on her phone right now looking us up on Reddit. By the way, guys, I typed True Crime Metrix into Reddit today, and there's a whole thread about the show saying really nice stuff and comments. That was weird and cool and awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah. How about that? By the way, guys, like the video, share the video with a friend or colleague, or your priest, your rabbi, your dog, whoever. Support the channel. There's some links in the description for this video to buymeacoffee.com, Patreon, Discord. You know, Discord's free, guys. But we are looking to expand on our broadcast equipment. We're going to be getting a nice camera, nice microphone to make the streams better. We're We're not holding out to buy a Ferrari with a plate that says Maestro. No, this money goes straight back into this little enterprise we've got going. So we really appreciate all the help. But really, you're giving a gift to yourself, right? If you can. If not, just hit like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
I saw her one time in August.
Why did you see her in August?
I saw her one time in August to pay her $3,000 for her friend.
When you paid her the money in August, how did you pay her?
I paid her $3,000 in cash.
And at this point in time, did you know that she was actually part of the extortion?
No, I thought she was not part of it. I was a little suspicious, but she just kept telling me that how sorry she was, and she was adamant that she had nothing to do with it and didn't know this was going to happen.
When you gave her the cash in August, did she make any request of you?
Yes, she did.
What request did she make?
She said, look, none of this money's going to her. She's giving all the money to her friend. She said, can you do me a favor? I need to get health insurance for my kids. Like, I'm helping you out. Nobody's going to ever pay you a visit. Can you give me $2,000 in cash for my friend and write me a check for $1,000 every month? And that way, she said she'll cash it, give the money to her friend, and then that way she can get health insurance for her kids.
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit.
Sort of a convoluted, lying, pattern of information. Yeah, so now we'll have to explain the money given to her from the business. Yes, well, no, what happened is she came to me and said, I've been giving all the money to my friend who killed Professor Markel and is now threatening your life. But I need to get health insurance for my kid. So we thought, me and the Latin Kings thought, if you write me a check, I'll cash the check and give that money to the Latin Kings. But as far as the insurance company is concerned, I work for you. And you, as a dental office, have good insurance benefits for your staff. Look at Erica. Look at the other one.
She says to you she needs health insurance for her kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she says to you, I'm getting none of the money at all.
Yeah, she said none of this is going to her.
But it would really help me if $1,000 of the $3,000 can be in the form of being on the books of your business, essentially. Yes. And did you say to her, Catherine, we just did a murder. I can't put you on the books of the business because that
72 people in the stream, guys. Make sure you all like the video, for God's sake. We want another 100% like to viewer ratio. What are we up to now? Doesn't matter.
creates a paper trail.
No, we didn't just do a murder. I just got extorted.
Now, what did you say to her when she made you that request?
I said, I'll do it for you. No problem. I mean, I wanted to keep her happy.
Now, before you did that for her, what did you have to do?
I had to call my mom because she does the books at the office. I don't even have the checkbook. And I called her up and I said, I want to put Katie on payroll at the office for $1,000 a month.
When you called your mom, what did she say to you?
She said, was Katie going to be coming into the office? She's going to start working for us. And I said, no, she's not. And she's like, well, what's Katie going to be doing? And I go, oh, she's just going to be helping me out with some stuff and different things. It's a long story. And I think my mom was someplace when I was talking to her on her cell phone because she didn't question me much after that.
Did you make any special requests to your mom about how the checks would be made?
Yes, I did.
What was your request to your mom?
I said, put them as like, give me like 4 or 5 checks at a time because I just want to hand them to her like that. So I said, write me a bundle of checks at a time.
Why did you want your mom to give you a bundle of checks at a time?
Because I only planned on seeing her one time a month, and that was to make the extortion payment. So I figured if I gave her 4 or 5 checks each time, that's all I planned on seeing her.
Now, sometimes did you give her less than 4 or 5 checks at a time?
Not that I can recall.
Now, Did there come a time when you went to go pick up the checks from your mom?
Yes.
And where did you go to pick up the checks?
I went to my parents' apartment.
And who was there when you came to pick up the checks?
My mom was there, and I don't think my dad was there at the time. He wasn't there at that time.
Was he there or
No,
wasn't he?
she was alone. There was no one else there.
Now, when you went to go pick up the checks, what happened and what do you remember?
I remember walking in and saying hi to my mom, and she's like, "Oh, the checks are over there on the counter like you asked for." And I saw there was a white envelope and there was a stack of checks sitting there. And she said, what's Katie doing for you? And I thought we'd already addressed it, but she's working at the office. And I'm like, no, I told you she's not. She's like, well, $1,000 a month is a lot of money to pay somebody. And she's like, what exactly is she doing for you? And I said, it's a long story.
Hey, Susan Phillips, it means a lot you're here. Really cool. Really cool. How you doing tonight?
And then she said, well, I'm your mom. Like, tell me. Like, don't just tell me it's a long story. So this time she was like, and I was face to face with her, and she was more persistent in asking me, what the heck's going on? Are you still dating her? And I'm like, no, we're definitely not dating anymore. And she's like, well, why are you giving her $1,000 a month? This makes no sense.
What happened next?
I told my mom, I wanted to tell somebody because if I get killed, at least somebody will know where to look or what it could have been about. So I wanted my mom to know what happened.
Well, you could do that by putting a letter in the safe. If I die, look at the Latin kings, specifically Louis and Sigfredo, who also killed Professor Markel. I mean, I thought I better tell my mom because I was worried. I was worried about my life, and I thought if anything happened to me, then my mom could tell the police. Because if it's General Isom who's looking through my safe and searching it and finds the letter, he probably can't read. So it had to be my mom.
Happened, but I also didn't want her saying anything to anybody. So I told my mom, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you something, but I never want to talk about it again. I never want you to talk to me about it on the phone. Don't talk about it anywhere. And please, whatever you do not say anything to Dad. Do not say anything to Wendy. Do not try to make me go to the police because I'm not going. You got to promise me all that, and then I'll tell you.
And what did you tell your mom?
I told her that the night of the 18th, I got extorted for $250,000.
How did your mom react?
She flipped out. She's like, what do you mean? Like, what is this about? Like, you know who killed Dan?
What did she want to do?
She wanted to go to the police.
And what did you tell her?
I said, absolutely not. I said, it's not going to bring Dan back. You're just going to end up getting me killed, or they'll come after somebody in the family.
What was agreed upon between you and your mom that evening?
That she was never going to say anything to anybody.
How about to your dad?
That not my dad, not my sister.
Why were you so persistent with your mom that she couldn't tell your dad or your sister?
Because I thought they'd go to the police. I didn't think there'd be any way to stop them. These people told me, I was told the night of the extortion, you got 48 hours to pay up or you're going to get killed. These people were not messing around.
Now, your mom gives you the checks, the first set of checks?
Yes.
That day?
Yes.
And
oh, Matilda. Yes, I love that bit too when Georgia says, I'll get to that in closing. What was she responding to? I can't remember, but it's brilliant.
Do you remember what month that was?
That was in September.
After she gave you those checks, would you periodically have to meet with your mom and get more checks?
Yeah, but not. I didn't even realize the staff got paid bi-weekly, so they got their checks every 2 weeks. So when I'd asked her for 4 or 5 checks, I was thinking like that would be good for the month. I didn't realize that was going to be like, 8-10 weeks.
Did your mom bring this subject up again?
She would ask me, "Are you okay?" She asked me, "Do you need anything?" She also said, "Do you need money?" I'm like, "No, I don't want you guys getting involved. It's bad enough that I'm involved in this."
For the next 20 months, what did you do with regards to money and Catherine Magbanua?
every single month. When I met her, I gave her $2,000 and the stack of checks to carry her forward.
And again, what did you think she was doing with those checks?
I thought she was cashing the checks and giving the $3,000 to her friend.
Hey, thank you so much, Leslie B. Hey guys, Leslie B just bought us 3 cups of coffee on buymeacoffee.com. Link in the description. We really appreciate that, Leslie. We're going to have such good production values soon. Everyone is going to enjoy it so much. These changes that are coming, these improvements, these developments, they're coming. And it's great. And we really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Leslie.
Now, we've heard a lot about gifts. We've heard about Lexus with 160,000 miles. We've heard about plane tickets. We've heard about, I guess, breast augmentation, but let's put that aside because I think that's a different category. We've heard about a whole host of gifts regarding over the next 20 months, you giving a bunch of gifts to Catherine Magbanua. You recall that testimony in this courtroom?
Yes, I do.
The gifts that you gave to Catherine Magbanua, was that part of the extortion? Were those extortion payments?
No, not at all.
What were the gifts?
The gifts were me trying to keep Katie happy. And I didn't think Katie was any part of this extortion at all because she was constantly broke. I mean, she'd be hitting me up for $300. I mean, there's no way that she was getting that $3,000 and then asking me for $300 or running short on this or running short on that or can't pay a car bill.
So I want to make sure that we're crystal clear here. The fact that she was always saying she was broke, did that make you more certain or less certain that she was not part of the extortion?
It made me more certain that there's no way that she's involved. I mean, she's telling the truth. The extortion never went up. I mean, she could have just raised the extortion payment instead of having to ask me for money. Every time she was asking me for money, I actually felt good. I felt like she wasn't part of it.
You have one moment, Your Honor.
Take your time.
One of the diagnostic feely things about narcissism is the person takes up the room.
So he says the extortion never went up, but she did start asking for a lot more stuff. You know, suddenly it's these car repairs and her mom wants to go on a cruise and, dental work. And what about that breast augmentation? And what other category does that fit into, Dan Rashbaum? We could go on to talk about the breast augmentation, but I think that's a whole different category. Filed under breast augmentation.
Showing you Defendant's Exhibit 56 and 57 for identification purposes only. Do you recognize these text messages?
I do.
One of those text messages from December 2nd, 2014.
Yes, it is.
And it's one of them from November 25, 2015.
Yes, it is.
You know the bit where Dan Rashbaum, I think he hands something to a witness and says, just so you can make sure I'm not doing any lawyer tricks. And it's funny, that statement, isn't it? Because the act of saying that is in and of itself a lawyer trick.
Are these text messages, do you recognize them as being kept in your ordinary course of business?
Yeah, there's text messages from my phone.
Judge, I would move in these exhibits at this point in time.
Any objection?
No objection.
They're admitted at this time. Defense 56 and 57, I believe.
Yes. May I publish it, Your Honor?
You may.
The first message is from December 2nd, 2014, Defendant's Exhibit 56. And Katie is, oh, wait.
Wait for it to reload.
Go ahead. do it a different way. I have to make everyone sick. Do you recall her asking for a favor that she needs to borrow from you in December of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall in November of 2015, she's talking about how she's embarrassed because her credit card was declined?
That old lady said, yeah.
Whoa, Neaty. Thanks so much for the super sticker, hon. Or is it a super chat? Remember, guys, you don't have to go to Patreon or buymeacoffee.com to support the channel. You can do it right here. In the chat window, we've got super chats, super stickers, super thanks. It's great.
Now, as time went on, let me back up. After the extortion, you break up with her.
Yes.
And you see her only once a month or so.
It was once a month, except for the occasion of maybe there's one other time, one or two times.
Now, your communications with her in August and September, and maybe the first part to most of October of 14, through text messaging, do they dwindle, stay the same, or go up?
No, I was trying to have limited contact with her.
And as time goes on, however, what happens to your relationship?
I become more sure that she's not part of the extortion at all. And it really what I was going by is how broke she was. There's no way she got all this money and she's so broke and she's still working. And we became friendly again. You know, our relationship was very different, but it was different but stronger because I needed her for my safety.
Okay. And so you've seen some of the emails, and I'm sure the state will show you a bunch of these emails in cross-examination where it's clear in the emails that you're learning a lot about each other, you're texting each other somewhat, you're talking as if you're friends.
We were friends. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. That ended, but she was protecting me.
Now, during this entire period of time before the bump, we're not at the bump yet.
Many thanks to someone. That's actually their name, guys. Someone for sending us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. Much appreciated.
During this entire period of time, did she ever tell you who was extorting you?
No.
Did you have a pretty good idea of who it was, though?
I did. I absolutely did.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Before bed tonight, try saying these 9 simple words to help attract money while you sleep. The harder you work, the luckier you get, right?
Topics. Before we get to the bump. Yesterday, we heard a call, which is SX130, where your mom and you are showing your love for Wendy's boyfriend, who she doesn't love, Dave. Do you recall that?
Dave, yeah.
Was your mom involved in Wendy's life?
You and your mother are busy showing love to Dave and pressuring Wendy to commit because he's a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy, very low key. Not only is he super successful, my nephews fart on him all the time and he just laughs it off.
Oh, but I mean, she cared a lot about her. I mean, she's her mom.
Now, during that call, you talk about how Professor Markel's death was a tragedy. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Did you have any idea at that point in time that you were being listened to by the police?
No idea. I was driving home and I was in the car for a long time, so I was just talking to my mom about everything.
Now, during that call, there is some discussion about Wendy winning the lottery. If you look at the context of the call in its entirety, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to meeting Dave. Dave was a one-of-a-kind guy that I liked him a lot. I guess I liked him more than my sister did. But he was a great catch. He was super successful. He used to work for a government agency, sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. But most importantly, like, he really loved my sister. He really loved my nephews who don't have a dad anymore. And I mean, even on that call, I was talking about like a 6-year-old farting on his head. I was over there, the kid was farting on his head, and he laughed, and it didn't bother him. So I thought he was a great guy. He actually even met the Markels, Dan's parents, once with my sister when they were visiting the boys. I mean, he was just a great guy, and it was my sister's birthday. That's why there was so much chatter caught about Dave, because I don't think she was inviting him or something. So that's why he became a topic of conversation. And The Wire was from April, and my sister's birthday's in April. So those are probably the most amount of Dave calls I've ever had in my life. But the FBI captured a bunch of Dave calls.
By the way, I saw you get a little emotional there. Do you love your nephews?
Of course.
Would you ever take their father away from them?
No, never. Never in a million years.
Judge, may we approach just briefly?
You may.
And we got cut off a little there, guys. And we're back. Hey, sound controlist, what are you doing?
Like 2008, so the technology was 6-7 years old.
Those text messages earlier in the year to put up a camera system at the office, had you ever acted upon that?
No, we talked about it, but I never got around to it.
It's not until within a week or so after you're extorted that you act upon that, correct?
Yeah, I called the camera guy about 3 or 4 days after I got extorted, and it took him like a week to get the cameras and to set up an appointment to install it.
Let me ask you another question. And we're going to get to your mom learning what happened. But before we get there, after you were extorted, did you tell anyone about what happened to you?
No, I told nobody.
Why not?
Katie told me before she left my house that morning, she's like, you cannot talk to anybody about this. Don't ever talk about this with anyone. Don't ever talk on the phone about it. Don't even talk to me about this ever again. Like, nobody can find out, but I'm going to protect you.
Let's get back to Wendy.
Okay.
So I think you said Wendy was a mess.
Yeah.
Did there come a time when you went out to dinner with your sister?
Yes.
Esta história incrível tornou-se viral nos Estados Unidos. Do dia para a noite, o quiroprático tornou-se uma superestrela por inventar algo inesperado. Recentemente, partilhou um truque curioso que todas as pessoas que se queixam de dores nas costas e no pescoço podem usar. Tudo começou há 11 meses.
And how long after the murder was that?
I'd say it was about 2 weeks after, maybe even a hair more, but around about 2 weeks.
And what happened when you went out to dinner with her?
I picked her up. I said, what do you feel like getting? You want to get pizza? You want to get sushi? And she's like, I love sushi. So I said, all right, I'll take you to I'll take you to a really good place for sushi.
Where did you go?
Ryan B. Nice catch with the what Georgia was responding to when she said, I'll do that in closing. You know, you're free to characterize me however you want. You feel free. Oh, I'll do that in closing. Don't worry, that's coming. I've got a whole 6 pages of notes where I'm going to do that.
We went to a restaurant called Juvia, and it's actually a pretty fancy sushi place.
Oh, we've come way back.
What happened during the dinner?
She got really sick.
So I want to make sure that we're crystal clear here.
Yeah, let's clean this up right now. This big bag of snakes that Georgia Kappelman wants to tie around the necks of the jury, we're going to put them in a nice, safe line. We're going to make it crystal clear so even a resident of Tallahassee can understand it.
The fact that she was always saying she was broke, did that make you more certain or less certain that she was not part of the extortion?
It made me more certain that there's no way that she's involved and that she's telling the truth. The extortion never went up. I mean, she could have just raised the extortion payment instead of.
Oh, Leslie, do you go to Crime Con in is it in New Orleans or does it change around? Is that any good? Did you have a good time? Did you get loads of like reading material and pens with people's logos on them?
Of having to ask me for money. Every time she was asking me for money, I actually felt good. I felt like she wasn't part of it.
You have one moment, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're learning more about the Adelson family dynamic, especially between Charlie and his mom. And with that as the backdrop, back with me is my legal panel for today, criminal defense attorneys Marie Pereira and Jeffrey Wolf. They're both here. And according to the defendant here, guys, his mother, Donna, wanted to go to the police, but he refused because he thought that he or his family could be killed. Is any part of that testimony believable as a juror, Marie? What are your thoughts?
I don't think so. It just doesn't make sense to me that he would be getting extorted again by a woman. He claims she was not involved, but it was her ex-baby daddy and his friend who allegedly killed Dan Markel. How is he?
Hey, we only need another 27 likes to get a 100% rating for the algorithm, guys. So if you haven't liked the video already and you're still here, I think we've earned it, right? I mean, we're on pause now. You just put the mouse or your finger over the like button and click. Easy. Let's do it. Everybody.
Saying, oh, no, Katie didn't know because she was always broke. She was hitting me up for $300. So it's not making any sense to me. I don't believe the story.
Well, I mean, what we're learning here is a lot about the family and their web here, Jeff. How involved this Adelson family, how involved were they in each other's lives?
Well, it seems to be one of the biggest questions of this case is what's going on with the parents? Why aren't they charged? They clearly knew more about what was going on than anyone's letting on here. He's finally coming clean and saying, yeah, my mom knew what was going on and I told her to be quiet.
Matilda Yeager says, at first she thought Georgia's cross fell flat until she realized that she, being Georgia, was like a squirrel gathering nuggets for the closing. Well, squirrels gather nuts, not nuggets. Nuggets of nuts, maybe, but definitely nuts. But yeah, I mean, I was worried all the way through leading up to Georgia Kappelman's cross. I was like, this is a big deal for Georgia. And she knows that millions are watching her, which is unusual. You know, a lot of lawyers are on film and camera, but not like this case. Huge case. And I thought maybe Georgia would be like, you know, start to show signs of a lack of confidence. How wrong I was. Is it doctor? Have you ever heard the expression that the simplest answer is the correct one? Snarky. Is that what snarky? People are always saying that I'm snarky. Well, I think George is snarky, but I'm not altogether what the word means.
it. But before this, it's really been, this is just bad actors outside the family, and nobody in the family was communicating or dealing with this together. It's now starting to become more clear that because this family was so close, surely that somebody in the family knew what was going on while it was happening. And so there's been a huge question hanging over this case of what's going to happen to these parents. Are they going to be charged as co-conspirators or anything along those lines, or accessories after the fact? And I think that if they get a conviction here, I think they're going to have a lot of information to do that.
Yeah, I mean, this is an extortion issue here, a murder here. This is not someone going to CVS and stealing a pack of gum and not telling the police about it. This is a big deal. And for the mother to seem to brush it aside, there's something fishy, shady. And of course, we're hopeful to learn more and hear more details later on with the family dynamic and all of this. All right, we're going to have to take another quick commercial break here on Law and Crime, but don't go anywhere. We've got you covered for this Charlie Adelson trial. We're going back to Florida in just a moment. You are watching Law and Crime.
Hey, Leah, thanks so much for the super sticker. All right.
Identification purposes only.
Doesn't he waddle like a duck? Look at that.
Defendants Exhibit 56 and 57 for identification purposes only.
Is a fake leg or something? Long John Silver, maybe.
Do you recognize these text messages?
I do.
One of those text messages from December 2nd, 2014.
Yes, it is.
And is one of them from November 25, 2015.
Yes, it is.
Are these text messages, do you recognize them as being kept in your ordinary course of business?
Yeah, there was text messages from my phone.
Judge, I would move in these exhibits at this point in time.
Any objection?
No objection.
So they are admitted at this time. Defense 56 and 57, I believe.
Yes. May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
The first message is from December 2nd, 2014, Defendants Exhibit 56. And Katie is, oh, wait.
Wait for it to read.
Go ahead. Do it a different way. I have to make everyone safe. Do you recall her asking for a favor that she needs to borrow from you in December of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall in November of 2015?
No. The extortion never went up. The car repairs and mechanical problems on 2 different vehicles, the loans when she was broke or had a kid's birthday, the cruise for her and her mother, the cost of the plane tickets to fly her, Sigfredo, and their kids all over to where are they from? Not Puerto Rico, not... What's the name of the friggin' island? Oh, blank. Dominican Republic. Santo Domingo. Yeah. All that was just, that was separate. There was the extortion, which she wasn't part of. We paid for that. But the car repairs for 2 vehicles, the mechanical issues, the cruise for my mom, the flights to Santo Domingo, the breast augmentation, all of that was a separate deal, guys. Don't you get it, Tallahassee? Wake up, Tallahassee. Wake up, YouTube. Like, share, leave a comment, support the channel, buymeacoffee.com, super thanks, super chat, super sticker, Patreon, Discord, go. In the description, guys.
She's talking about how she's embarrassed because her credit card was declined.
That old Navy said, yeah.
Now, as time went on, but let me back up. After the extortion, you break up with her.
Yes.
And you see her only once a month or so.
It was once a month, except for the occasion of maybe there's one or two times.
Now, your communications with her in August and September, and maybe the first part to most of October of 14, through text messaging, do they dwindle, stay the same, or go up?
No, I was trying to have limited contact with her.
And as time goes on, however, what happens to your relationship?
I become more sure that she's not part of the extortion at all. And it really what I was going by is how broke she was. There's no way she got all this money and she's so broke and she's still working. And we became friendly again. Our relationship was very different, but it was different but stronger because I needed her for my safety.
Okay. And so you've seen some of the emails, and I'm sure the state will show you a bunch of these emails in cross-examination where it's clear in the emails that you're learning a lot about each other, you're texting each other somewhat, you're talking as if you're friends.
We were friends. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. That ended, but she was protecting me.
Now, during this entire period of time before the bump, we're not at the bump yet. During this entire period of time, did she ever tell you who was extorting you?
No.
Did you have a pretty good idea of who it was, though?
I did. I absolutely did.
May I have one moment, Your Honor? Before we get to the bump. Yesterday, we heard a call, which is SX-130, where your mom and you are showing your love for Wendy's boyfriend, who she doesn't love, Dave. Do you recall that?
Dave, yeah.
Was your mom involved in Wendy's life?
Yeah, she was involved, but she cared a lot about her. She was her mom.
Now, during that call,
Yeah, moms care about their daughter.
you talk about how Professor Markel's death was a tragedy. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Did you have
was
any
a
idea
tragedy,
at that point in
wasn't it?
time that you were being listened to by the police?
No idea. I was driving home and I was in the car for a long time, so I was just talking to my mom about everything.
Now, during that call, there is some discussion about Wendy winning the lottery. If you look at the context of the call in its entirety, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to meeting Dave. Dave was a one-of-a-kind catch guy that I liked him a lot. I guess I liked him more than my sister did. But he was a great catch. He was super successful. He used to work for a government agency. Sold his
Okay, Mongeezy, we've turned it back down to normal speed. It was getting a bit fast, wasn't it?
company for a tremendous amount of money. But most importantly, he really loved my sister. He really loved my nephews who don't have a dad anymore.
Thanks, Janet.
And I even on that call, I was talking about a 6-year-old farting on his head. I was over there, the kid was farting on his head, and he left. It didn't bother him. So I thought he was a great guy. And he actually even met the Markels, Dan's parents, once with my sister when they were visiting the boys. He was just a great guy, and it was my sister's birthday. That's why there was so much chatter caught about Dave, because I don't think she was inviting him or something. So that's why he became a topic of conversation. And The Wire was from April, and my sister's birthday's in April. So those are probably the most amount of Dave calls I've ever had in my life. But the FBI captured a bunch of Dave calls.
By the way, I saw you get a little emotional there. Do you love your nephews?
Of course.
Would you ever take their father away from them?
No, never. Never in a million years.
Judge, may we approach just
So
Daniel Rashbaum was like, "Oh, and I saw you get a little emotional there." And Charlie was like, "Oh, now the jury are going to be looking at me to see exactly how emotional. I better pull out an emotional card right now. But again, when these Adelsons try to act like human beings, the opposite is true. Look at him. Watch this.
Those are probably the most amount of Dave calls I've ever had in my life, but the FBI captured a bunch of Dave calls.
By the way, I saw you get a little emotional there. Do you love your nephews?
Of course.
Would you ever take their father away from them?
No, never. Never in a million years.
Judge, may we approach just briefly?
So very interesting revelations here as criminal defense attorneys Marie Pereira and Jeffrey Wolf are still listening to this testimony with me of defendant Charlie Adelson. As we heard, he said that his relationship with Katie became stronger after they broke up and that she was, quote, protecting me. But what was odd was he said he didn't know who was extorting him. However, he didn't question Katie, but had a good idea who it was. I mean, is this a normal response to a situation as extreme as this? What are your thoughts?
Probably the two of us. You understand. Text messages are from the next day, right?
No one is going to be permitted on either side, excuse me, to present any factual issue out of proper context. Now, I believe, as it's been presented already through the direct, your client testified to them having a fight. This otherwise demonstrates his state of mind and shows what was going on the day of the murder, which is relevant. Getting further into the fight, which doesn't go to the elements or any other matter, why again is this relevant?
It's relevant because they have a chart that shows that Charlie calls Katie at 12:45 in the morning. I'm making up times. Katie calls Sigfredo at 12:50 in the morning. Charlie calls Katie. These text messages show what the calls are about. Now, I was able to ask my client the question on the stand. These text messages are corroboration for him.
Any further argument, Ms. Keppelman, as the context for the 716 texts?
Argument, the text messages show what the content of a phone call was?
The context of what was happening on 716.
No, sir. I don't think we're disputing that they appeared to have had an argument on 716. I don't remember that being an issue in the case, so stick with my prior objection.
Right, over the state's objection, the text between the defendant and Ms. Magbanua will be admitted on 718. As far as the other texts, the court is not going to admit them on grounds of relevance and hearsay. Any other matters to address before the jurors come in?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Rashbaum,
Computer working? I don't think so, Your Honor.
please bring in the jurors.
Should I have Mr. Adelson take the stand first?
Yes, come on up, Mr. Adelson.
This.
All rise for the jury. What, are they just going out? Is it going to be another break? What terrific timing they have. That's exactly 2 hours tonight, guys. Everybody.
Everyone can be seated. Mr. Rashbaum, you may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, that seems like a good place to stop it, huh? Let's go through a few more of your comments. Remember to like the channel, guys. Subscribe to the channel. You're probably going to want to do that if you like the Adelson case, because we've got a list all over the whiteboard for this. Solid material. Material that you can count on. You can count the crimes on one hand. Uh-oh. I'm in danger of falling asleep again, guys. Right, we are going to shut it off. Thanks so much for all the support. Like, share, leave a comment, support the channel, buymeacoffee.com, super thanks, super chat, super stickers, Patreon, Discord. Come and join the Discord now. Okay. Hi. Loads of comments tonight. Oh, we just can't go through them all today, guys. Okay, we're ending stream. We'll be back tomorrow, Sunday. Maybe start a little earlier. What do you think? Okay, good night, guys.